Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the next installment of 4 Life Coaches talking about personal development things. So in this next installment, we actually had a few comments from our audience. So what we've done is we've curated those questions, and Gab is gonna read them out, and we'll do what we can to help you guys and shed some insight on how to live better, be happier, and be more stoic and useful during these challenging times, I should say. So for those of you who don't know, my name is Rich Harris. I'm a life coach, and we've got Brent Conkle, Gab Chinmeli, and Ryan Friend. And we're actually, there's 2 of us in Japan. I'm in the UK, and Ryan's in America. So it's you're really getting an international experience here. But over to you, dear Gab. Let us know the questions, and we'll do what we can to help our audience.
All right, thank you very much, Richard, as always, for the nice introduction. First of all, I think we're all, on behalf of all of us, we're all very grateful for the reaction that we had for the last video. I want to say a big thank you to everybody for the comments, for the feedback we got, for the sharing. We really hope it will have a very positive impact for everybody. I think I wrote in the comment section, our why is very simple. We basically care, and we want to empower you with the tools, the mindset, and the positivity to successfully power you through any crisis. Right, and we're going to do something a little different this time. As Richard said, we're going to read some of the comments. Now, the one we see in the top of the list is, since the lockdown, I've been gaining weight. What can I do? And I just tell the audience what I told everybody a little earlier was that I taught about 6 classes in the last 2 weeks. And I had this comment from students as well. And we took a poll, and the average weight gain was about 5 kilos, so, which is quite a lot. So I'm going to pass the microphone around and see what everybody's going to say for this one, and then I'll also give a bit of advice about this as well.
There are many ways to skin a cat, and I'm sure you guys are going to come in and alter this and chip in, right? But here's the formula I've worked out. Once you've decided that you want to lose the weight, first thing is you've got to decide you want to do it. If you haven't decided it and you haven't taken responsibility, it ain't going to happen. So you're responsible, and then you've got to decide you're going to do it. That's the first thing. Now, on the biology end, so that was the psychological / spiritual. On the biological plane, what we've got is, I believe, a ketogenic diet is the thermonuclear weapon on the war against fat, all right? So a ketogenic diet means you take your carbohydrates, that means sugars and any digestible sort of long-chain carbohydrate, like starch, for example, down to about 30 grams a day or less. It's not very much. So basically you've got vegetables, and some of the vegetables are out, like artichokes, for example, are too high, so they would be out. So things like mushrooms, vegetables, and so on. And you have tons of fat, tons and tons of fat, grass-fed butter, coconut oil. I had some coconut oil before I started this because it gives me a nice energy boost. MCT oil, which is a fraction of coconut oil, really good for raising the metabolism. Metabolism is the sum of all the chemical reactions in your body. If you're reacting more, it means that you're going to lose weight probably, because you have to feed more to meet that demand on your energy every day. So MCT oil is very good. Grass-fed butter, olive oil, have loads of olive oil. So you have that, and then if you wish to, some quality meat, fish or eggs on the top. Stay organic, free range, grass-fed when it comes to the beef. Game meat is very good, like venison or elk if you're in America. So you got your ketogenic diet. And then what I recommend to do if weight loss is a challenge for you is fast once a month. If you're doing a weight loss thing, or you can do less. If you're really serious, do once a week or once every 2 weeks. Water fasting just means you drink water and that's it. So no teas, no little special things, no supplements, no nothing. Just water, and if it ain't water, don't drink it. And if you want to go hardcore, I mean, some of my clients, they do like 36 hours on a week for a little while. But once a fortnight would be fine. Once a month would be fine. And if you want to go a little longer, you want to go to like 72 hours, by all means, it's very good. So you have the will to start. You go low carbs, or ideally ketogenic diet, which means you've got to increase the fat. Then you fast, do the fasting. And the final installment in this is you train every day, ladies and gentlemen. You train every day. You do a combination of stretching, like yoga, you cardio, like running or like boxing or something like that. I like doing boxing or martial art because it's your mind's off the pain and you're actually focusing on the technique, which is really fun. and strength training, so lifting heavy weights and getting stronger. So you train every day, you do the fasting, and you go to a low carbohydrate, so paleo, or ideally ketogenic diet, you're going to lose the weight. So as in, you can wave a magic wand, you can be whatever body fat you want by probably 6 months, end of the year tops. And that's if you're in a heinous state to start with. So that's the formula.
Thank you, Richard.
Wow, that's great.
I mean, but there's loads of tweaks, and I'm sure you guys have got things to add or tweak to that, because there's more to say, but I think that's the foundation.
Mm.
I think foundation is always important. I think there's always small tweaks in there, and then I mean, I honestly think weight loss can get complex, but we obviously start simple. You know, like Richard was saying, certain things. I think right now with what's going on in the world, I think we have to be cognizant of the fact that our cortisol levels are all high, which basically means most of us are too stressed out. And if when your cortisol levels high, you tend to keep weight on as well. One of the things too, just to pay attention to is why are you eating? A lot of people eat because they're stressed, and a lot of people don't understand what true hunger is. So a lot of us think we're hungry, but we're really not. We're actually just trying to fill a void. We're trying to there's a chemical in your brain called dopamine, makes you feel good. And sometimes just eating something that's sugary, a nice little snack gives you a little spike, a little high, makes you feel good for a brief moment in time. And I think that's probably what a lot of people are doing at this point in time, is because people are stressed out. They're worried about their job. They're worried about what's going on in the world. And one way to make yourself feel good is to eat. And so I think that's where the ketogenic diet comes into play, because most people aren't going to eat. They're going to eat Reese's Pieces, and they're not going to eat a good piece of meat, or eat some vegetables. So even just if you feel like you're hungry, see if you can just throw some vegetables in instead, because the idea is that you need to eat something that also satiates you and makes you feel full. So just easy tip.
So are you a meat eater, Ryan?
Yeah.
Why did you choose to do that?
I've actually experimented with a number of different diets throughout my lifetime, just because I like to experiment with things. I'm probably more in a ketogenic / paleo-esque kind of hybrid right now. Seems to do well for me. For me, one of the reasons was, I never had a weight issue. I'm a pretty lean guy. I never had to worry about that. But for me, it's more been about brain health, cognition. I've had issues with brain fog and anxiety and depression since I was very young, and I figured that diet was probably a part of that. And so I had to experiment, with, I call it half-ass vegetarian. Never went vegan or anything like that. I started doing more of a ketogenic style diet probably 2 or 3 years ago, and just noticed that my overall energy output had been better. My mental clarity was improved. So that's one reason why I went with that. I was more like, again, it wasn't for me, not for weight loss, but more for just mental health.
Yeah, that's really big tips, actually. I think we sometimes forget, we focus the diet on the body side, but a lot of the times we overlook the mind, right? Because there's definitely a chemical reaction and impacts. But once you start playing around with what works for you, for your particular body chemistry, it's amazing what you can do to your mindset, right? So you just got to find something that works and reacts for you.
Gab, what have you found that's really cool about like the mind and the body and sort of interfacing energy between those two planes of analysis?
In terms of food, I mean, I can just let you know what I did before this all started, or when I first heard that the work from home situation was going to take place. I immediately went on a 16/8 intermittent fasting diet because I knew there would be longer hours, there'd be a lot of sitting down, there'd be at-home stuff. But one of the things I quickly switched, for those who don't know, a 16/8 intermittent fasting diet is when you're actually fasting for 16 hours. I might be drinking water during those 16 hours, but then I've got 8 hours of meals. So I'd have a dinner time, would be probably finished around 8 o'clock every night. I wouldn't eat till 16 hours later the next day. And then, this might have seemed difficult for a lot of people, but, growing up, we had this mindset that breakfast was the most important meal of the day. And for some people, that could be true. But in my head, I wanted to break this cycle because I thought maybe it's not necessary. what I've actually found is not so much on the weight support side where I've tried to reduce the amount of food. It's more about the mentality that's coming through. So now I actually think clearer in the morning. I'm more focused. I don't have that idea that I got to eat. And once I eat, I used to slow down quite a bit in the morning. Now it's just clear, go straight through. I can actually stand in the classroom and be extremely energetic until lunchtime without any issue. And I'm just not thinking about food at that time. So there is definitely a chemical reaction with, first of all, what you put in your body. But also you got to find the right things that work for your own body chemistry. And for me, so far, this has worked very well because it's actually had a very positive impact on clarity, focus. It's made my meditation more powerful in the morning. So that kind of balance has really shone through the last 2-3 months, actually.
I had a similar journey to you. In my early 20s, I was eating, had an eating window of something like 18 hours in a day. So I'd get up in the middle of the night and I'd eat. And it was so, I thought I was being healthy, but it was so bad. And actually doing the intermittent fasting taught me that actually you could probably eat in a 4-hour window or less. And you're better for it, actually.
Yeah. Some days that actually happens because I'm just out or doing stuff, or I don't feel hungry, which is what Ryan was saying. You know, sometimes you got to ask why are you eating? Yeah. And sometimes you think about it and you tune into your body. You're thinking, well, I'm not actually hungry right now, right? What's the point, in a way? And that's why I'm still awake at 10:22 in the evening on a Saturday night, and still talking about this stuff. So, yeah, very, very interesting.
Yeah, with the intermittent fasting, I think it's fantastic. I started doing that several years ago, and it took me a while to work into it. But now, like, I'm a little different than you. I follow a guy named Dr. Jack Kruse, who's big into light, water, and magneticism, and he's does a bit with diet as well. His big thing actually is to eat what he calls a BAB, which is a big ass breakfast. Now, I had done similar to you where I skipped breakfast, and I felt good with that, but I started going to the BAB. The only difference is my big ass breakfast isn't like pancakes and breads. It's a ketogenic. I eat actually a lot of, I'm almost turning Japanese. I'm eating a lot of fish in the morning. So for the most part, I'm eating eggs, bacon, fish, butter, coffee, that type of thing. And what I've noticed is as I've gotten used to that and had done the fasting is I'll eat a big ass breakfast and I can easily go to the next day without having to eat. And I've done 3-day fast where now it doesn't even I don't really actually get hungry unless I'm around someone cooking. It's amazing because if you can go 3 days without eating, you begin to realize our bodies really are, not to say you should go 3 days without eating all the time, but the idea is that our bodies are designed to last a while without food. And we are in a world of plenty, and I think that's a big deal too, because when you go to a grocery store, I'm actually overwhelmed at a grocery store anymore. There's far too many options for me. Like, just give me some vegetables, some meat, and I'm happy. Like, if you go down the center aisles and you go into the cereal store, I mean, you're basically looking at 37 different varieties of corn and soy, and wheat. It's the same. You're basically eating the same thing. It's just put into a different colorful package. It just drives me nuts. I can't stand I can't stand grocery stores anymore because it's too many options. It's overwhelming.
Don't you find, Ryan, that when you go to I'm sure all of you find this, when you go to a supermarket, 95% plus of the stuff is just off limits. It's just like these irrelevant aisles. It's like, well, I'll never eat anything from there.
Yep.
And you want the meat, you want the veg, butter, a few other little bits and pieces, and it's like you could put that into one half of one aisle. And I don't think they do a good job. I think they could do much more job of just nailing down on those and making them more organic and loving and doing a better job with those personally.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
I thought I'd chime in one more time. I was thinking earlier when Gab was talking about just the mental emotional aspects of the weight gain. And sometimes you have to look at it from more of a, I guess, metaphorical aspect that what does fat do? Fat creates protection, right? And so I think for some of us, that's essentially subconsciously what we're doing is we're creating a layer of protection during a time or in a world where we have some fear, we're afraid what's going on, and adding an extra layer of protection is an aspect of that. And I think that's where it comes down to, like what Richard was saying about, you have to make a choice to, first you need to make the choice to lose the weight, but sometimes there's a deeper why behind why you're gaining it. And so if you start making those choices and changing your diet and food, but you may come to realize that actually that weight gain served a purpose, which it usually does. The question is you just got to figure out what it is.
Agreed.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. There's the other part of it too. Working from home means that we are now, or a lot of people have actually brought home the work they normally go out, physically out of their houses or their apartments to an office or somewhere else to do something else. But now it's all happening at home in your regular comfort zone. Right? And this cannot be mentally very good. As somebody who trains a lot of people to successfully work at home, you cannot always easily distinguish between home and work anymore. So you see people doing these long, ridiculous hours at home, sitting in the comfort of their sofa, which is usually the place where they relax, suddenly becoming stressed, taking on more, not moving as much. So it's really like you absolutely have to make that choice to do something. So the other thing that I always tell people is get an alarm, just get an app, anything that pops up on your screen, every 20 minutes, get up, do some stretching, spend 2-3 minutes, sit down. You got to do some movement. Body's designed to move. It's not designed to sit down all day. But you got to force yourself, and you got to be in the mindset to get up and do something at least every 20 minutes, whether it's a breath of mindfulness or whether you get up and actually stretch and do something. Go outside or stick your head out the window and get some sunshine, whatever it is. But you got to move and get out of that zone and set the limit, the boundary. If you're going to finish work at 6, then it's 6 o'clock and you don't go over that. So you got to be really, really self-disciplined through this. Very important.
It is true that we are sitting a lot more at home now in front of our laptops, working. What I've started doing for about the past 3 months now is I bought a crazy fitness machine, and about every 2 hours what I'll do is I'll get on the crazy fitness machine, and it vibrates really fast, and it takes care of your inner muscles, your back, stomach, all the way up to your head. And just doing that for like 10-15 minutes every couple of hours gets the blood flowing again, gets the energy moving. And then talking about food, instead of having soy joy or a candy bar or something like that, which I'm not a big candy eater anyways, but I got to the point where I grew up on a farm, so I'm so used to eating vegetables right out of the field that I'm taking broccoli, carrots, cucumbers, and those are my daily snacks while I'm working. So that's a couple of things that I'm doing to try to keep moving. I try to go up and down the stairs as much as possible. So I have a toilet upstairs, but I'll purposefully walk downstairs to use the restroom instead of using the one that's right next to my room. Just little things like that, so I can keep moving. And then a walk in the morning, a walk in the evening, just to prepare for the day, get mentally prepared, be relaxed, and be moving more instead of stagnant, stationary. Nothing is flowing. And then I find myself at the end of the day tired and drained, which I was doing, but about 3 months ago made that conscious effort to start getting on the machine, start eating vegetables, start walking up and down the stairs more. The weather started getting nicer, so I would get out when everybody had finished shopping because we didn't have lockdown over here. And after everybody was done shopping, then I'd go for my walk in the morning and then in the evening to wind down. So that's some of the stuff that I was doing.
So it strikes me then that to this problem of like, what do you do when your home and your work merge and it just turns into one long, constantly stressful day? One of the ways is delineate that, like, so you ideally have your office outside or in your house, and then you've got your relaxing place. You guys are saying, look, set timers for mobility and exercise. That seems to be pretty universally good here. Then another way is like, some people just aren't going to be able to do that, right? So like some people aren't going to have a separate office in their house. Some people aren't, for whatever reason, going to be able to take that break and do the exercise. So another thing you can do is not everything has to be perfect in personal development, right? There's going to be some things you're just going to get wrong. Like maybe you're an insomniac and you can't sleep. But what you can do is double down on the discipline in all the other important areas. Is your social circle really good? Is your training otherwise really good? Is your nutrition bang on point? Is your sleep good? Is your income generation good? Whatever it is. And then if those other engines of, you know, productivity, success, happiness, health are good, you can compensate for something that's ineffective, like just sitting on your sofa for 10 hours a day, having to type out, you know?
Yeah.
All those critical elements of well-being that we talked about in episode 1.
Yes.
Right?
Phantom life coach.
I think one of the most critical elements we missed is good sleep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shall we go through some more questions? Because there's one on sleep coming up. So let's, yeah, I think we've provided quite a lot of tips for that one. I think let's go to the next one. Watching your video gave me a sense of hope and peace because I've been feeling so much anxiety these days and I'm having a lot of trouble sleeping. There we go. Now we can talk about sleep.
Who wants to go?
My first tip.
Turn off the devices 2 hours before you go to bed.
Yeah, there you go.
No blue screen, no TV, no iPhone. Don't watch the mainstream media. Don't get roused up before you go to bed. 2 hours is like when I start shut down everything and don't look at it. I'd rather read a book. I'd rather take a hot bath, hot shower, my walk in the evening, and think about all the things that I'm grateful for. And when I go to bed, no, I don't have any anxiety.
Yeah, I would like to add to that. Definitely turn off the mainstream media. Don't just do it. Definitely turn it off. That, in the best of possible cases, it's an anxiety carnival of hate. It's an anxiety-driving carnival of hate. But in the worst cases, it really will send you over the mental disorder edge. It will mess up your sleep, especially if you watch it late at night. And you know, the television programming is there to program you. It's not for your benefit. It's not nice stuff. It's not nice narratives they're weaving. So turn that nonsense off. It's not to your benefit.
Or start watching the Good News Channel.
Where's that?
Yeah. There's actually a guy, I've thought about this for years and years and years, how nice it would be to have a good news channel. And there's a guy now on YouTube that's all he does is talk about good news.
Cool.
There's a few of those actually. There's a few of those now.
He's kind of comedic about everything,
Good.
as he should be, and he's doing pretty well with his channel.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good on him.
Yeah. The other thing, if I can quickly add, is keep the device out of reach when you go to sleep. Just keep it out of reach. Turn it off. Get it
Airplane
down.
mode.
Airplane mode. Since we're talking about frequencies, there are a couple of frequencies, very low frequencies, that you can actually, this is music or sounds that actually operate at the like 432 hertz or 528 hertz that you can play before you go to sleep. And apparently this will tune into your mind to give you a much deeper sleep. So if you go up on any music site somewhere, just put in 432 or 528 hertz.
And delta and theta.
Yes.
Delta theta waves.
Exactly. Yes. Terrific. So you can put those on an hour before you go to sleep, and usually it'll get you in a nice mindset.
Solfeggio frequencies.
So they're the Solfeggios, are they, or are they different ones?
I believe they're the Solfeggio frequencies.
They are.
Cool,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, I'm generally tuned into 528 hertz music.
Okay. The love frequency, right?
Yeah, the love frequency.
Cool, man.
It's good stuff. It does work, and it definitely helps you to get a deeper sleep in nighttime.
Oh yeah, and I have it as background music while I'm working during the day, and it keeps me calm, calm in a good way.
No wonder you never get anything done, Brent.
You know, that's exactly what I didn't mean. That's exactly what I didn't mean, you joker. That's exactly
No, I'm joking.
No, you might get a bad email and want to like reply back to it in anger or something like that, but you got this chill music, background music going on, and you know, if it is really level of frequency of love and calmness or enlightenment, definitely helps me to write nicer replies to people. You know, I find myself writing more from gratitude than attitude.
Oh, well, on the serious side, Brent, now I know why your emails are always so nice to me. Thank you.
That's just because I love you, brother.
I think Ryan wanted to say something. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think very simply for sleep, get as much sunlight as you can. So if you can get up for sunrise, get the sunrise, make sure you see the sunset. So as much daylight as you can, and at night, block as much blue light. So I wear blue light blocking glasses, and make sure that they're the right brand, because a lot of them are fake. And like last night, I was reading my book with blue light blocking glasses on and my camping headlamp with a red light on. You know, you don't want to see any blues or greens. So daylight at night, block blue light. That helps sync your circadian rhythms up. Very important.
I agree with that. That's worked wonders for me as well. I just get off the PC. I used to wear the glasses, and the glasses helped me a lot. But I just really have tried to get to that like 2 hour before I go to bed, unplug from any electronic devices, and go to a paper book if I need to or want to.
I'll chip in one. So if you wish to, an Epsom salt bath is a very nice way to aid sleep and increase holistic health. And it feels very nice. So the trick is, if you can afford it, use a lot. So if you really want to, like, use a kilo, which works out in the UK, if you buy in bulk, is about £1 or £1.50 or something per bath. But do a big load of Epsom salt, so it's not really dissolving properly. And then some essential oils, like I use rose oil because it's nice. And that works, and I feel much better the next day as well.
Lavender is a good oil too.
Yep.
Oh, these are fantastic tips.
Yeah. Do we have another question?
Well, we should probably talk about anxiety a little as well. I mean, about having anxiety, which I think is a very big issue right now. I'm talking to Brent a few days ago and earlier this week that a lot of people that have approached us, majority of them are all feeling anxiety right now. They don't know what their situations are going to be. There are talks of pay cuts and a lot of issues going on out there. Unemployment, as we know from the previous episode.
Can I jump in here real quick, please?
Yes.
The first thing about anxiety is to define it. And anxiety is the fear of the unknown. Right? So if anxiety is fear, we all know that fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. And hate leads to
suffering.
Suffering, right. And we don't want you to suffer. So whatever you have anxiety about, start learning about it. Whether it's my anxiety about being overweight or my anxiety about work. How would I go about my money? Money is a common topic that people are coming to me about. So I'm giving the advice of something that I did 20 years ago when I was still working at DHL. I had one of my buddies in the finance department create a household balance sheet, right? And that household balance sheet, just Google it. You can find lots of examples of Excel files for household balance sheets now, but keep receipts for everything and then see where you're spending your money. How are you spending your money? Personal example right here, when I was doing that 20 years ago, I was making really good money, but at the end of the month, I just felt like I didn't have anything left over. I was living paycheck to paycheck. And I was going out socially drinking with my colleagues a lot. And looking at that, thinking about $10 a pint and going out 3 or 4 times a week, you know, I was racking up $900 a month just in drinking, right? So that, well, it is a lot. It is a lot. Because the cost of a pint, like I say, is so expensive. And then you have 5 of those, you've lost $50 in a night if that's all you drink. I was finding myself going to every hour on the hour, going to the vending machine at the office and buying a drink. And there's 100 yen at the time, and drinking maybe 10 canned coffees or teas or whatever. And over 30 days, there's another $300. And then I started to look at the groceries I was buying or how I wanted to cut down on my electricity bill. And suddenly I found myself with, by cutting some of these things out, a surplus of like $2,400 a month plus every month, where I was barely getting by with my salary that I was making. So I took that $2,400 and decided, hey, you know, I really am interested in career development. I'm interested in my own career. Why don't I take a career coaching course? And I got my career coaching certification from the money that I had saved. So the money that I saved, I was able to personally invest in myself. And then that certification has generated money for me. So was an investment, right? But the point I'm trying to get to is download one of these Excel sheets, get a receipt for everything, and then daily input the data to see where you are spending your money. You will be surprised what I can cut, what are my essentials, what do I not need. Instead of a $700 food bill, get it down to $550, you know, and where can you make those cuts? And last time we were talking about having your own business and things like that. Hey, if you can learn to do this personally for your personal household, having the ability to do a corporate budget plan or budget management for the month goes a long way as well. So there's some tips. Just Google a household budget planning sheet. There's tons of them free downloads. So go for it. Then you won't ever say, I can't afford it again.
Yeah, so take positive action on the thing, and often it's money, and those are some of the ways that you can do that with the money.
Yeah, a lot of people have anxiety around money, and I'll have people come to me and ask me, what are my rates, for example? I can't afford that. Okay, well, we can get into a negotiation of what can you afford, and I'll be open and I'll listen to that, and I'll give them this balance sheet and say, hey, for the next 3 months, why don't you try to collect all your receipts, see what you can do to save money, and maybe we can meet each other halfway, right? And usually they'll come back in 3 months and that was one of the best lessons I've ever learned.
I've got a couple of ideas about anxiety. In the UK, the anxiety levels have been flying up over the last couple of decades, and this is going to multiply it. So this will be the psychological problem of our age, will be anxiety. The way to deal with it, or the way I have successfully dealt with it myself and other people, is for the goodness sake, do not try and nerf the world around you. So the last thing you want to do for yourself, if you're anxious, or for anxious people around you, is make things easier. It's not what you want to do. What you want to do is empower the individual and toughen up and be strong. So what I like to do with my coaching clients, I want to improve their anxiety, and for myself, I want to feel less anxious. You toughen up, and you do that by putting yourself in hard things. David Goggins, the luminous and venerable David Goggins, has written a book called Can't Hurt Me, and he can express that concept in a better way than any of us will ever be able to. So the audio is the one to get, and he will show you the philosophy of toughening up better than any of the great masters. I would also say no fat helps. So if you want to quit the masturbation, many people find that reduces anxiety, as does holistic health. So if you're taking care of your microbiome, if your food's good, if you're on the right supplements, if you're training every day, doing your meditation, and the other things that improve the holistic health, connecting with nature, those will also reduce anxiety.
Well, I was going to say, like, just what I think was what you were saying before about anxiety being, fear is what false evidence appearing real, which means a lot of times what we're doing is we're worrying about things that never even happen. Now, the thing is we're in a state right now where, now I know, now my train of thought's back. You were talking about anxiety also being the fear of the unknown. Well, the thing is I think a big thing is when things are unknown, as human beings, we want to feel like we're in control of things. And when we have a large unknown, we don't have control over what's going to happen. And in reality, we never have control, period. But, when there's a normal routine, we feel like there's control in our life. When we have this moment where we have a major unknown going on, or a possibility of losing a job or things like that, we have to remember that there are going to be components that we don't have control over, but many components that we do. And so like all the tips that Richard just gave, meditation, diet, going out and exercising, getting sunlight, we've all talked about, those are getting out in nature, doing those things. So those are all things that you have control over. Now, we might not be able to change the employment situation at the moment, but all those other avenues that we have, let's take control of that, because that can help keep the levels of your anxiety down and start making you feel empowered, that you have control over those aspects. And a lot of times when you find control in other aspects of your life, it brings, I don't know how to explain it, but it kind of opens up a door for some other avenue to come in. So you might lose a job in something you're doing and something else opens up. But if we're not receptive to that and we don't create that, it won't be there.
Can I make a quick comment on that, Ryan?
Yeah.
Go back to that career coaching certification, right? I did that for myself so I could learn about how to find a job, right? I did it for myself to be able to help other people at work when they were talking about career development or career aspirations. But right now, it's booming as an industry. So if you do have the money, I do suggest that you look into becoming a career coach, getting certification. It's definitely a lifetime investment for you to find your own job, but also have a side business and use that as a side business to be able to help yourself earn good money. There are definitely agencies out there hiring career coaches right now. And like I say, the pay is pretty good and it will pay for itself over time, whether you finding your own job or helping other people find a job as a side job for you. to make passive income, or more or less. So, as always, we would like to thank our audience. I'd like to thank our coaches for all the sharing and the loving and the advice that we gave today. And on an end note, be well and keep being.